Portfolio Financial. We do mortgages, life insurance, investments and pensions. But my area and speciality is mortgages. What do we offer? We had to sit down the other day and discuss this. What do we offer? And the ones we come up with, bespoke solutions, proactive administration, ongoing aftercare. Most mortgage advisors tend to work in a spare room at home or a converted garden shed. They work wherever they're being pulled. We've got 8 advisors with 4 admin staff, and the admin staff are there just to chase your cases through. If there's any problems, it's sorted there and then. It's not waiting for that advisor to come back off the last job he's done, finish the paperwork he's doing. The advisor's there to advise, admin support is there to make sure your mortgage goes through quickly and efficiently. So, although we'll sit down with you, comfort your own home, we'll go for everything with you, make sure you get your best product, which a lot of people say they can do, but it's when they step away, it's the after sales that happens. You know, it's okay me putting the mortgage in and making your application for the one we've chose, but believe me, that's where the work starts. It's an absolute minefield out there getting mortgage for at the moment. And not like associated with Swan, but it is that you try and give this graceful impression to the customer on the surface, but underneath it is all hell's broke loose and you've got to fight every step of the way. You'll get mortgages turned down for no reason at all and you're having to fight to get the customer's work through. So that's where the proactive administration comes in. The bespoke solutions is easy. The proactive administration is where we really feel we differ, because we have got 4 admin staff just working with 8 advisors. Ongoing aftercare, yeah, once your mortgage is through, we'll make sure we'll come and see you 6 monthly, yearly. Every 2 years we'll be back to review your mortgage, make sure you're still on the best rate. Same with your buildings and contents, we'll review that every year for you to make sure you're always on the best rate. On the bottom, I say it all the time, we offer whole of market advice. Whole of market is a real weird area. We can offer, basically, as long as they've got a financial conduct licence, we're allowed to use them. You're allowed to claim to be whole of market if you offer advice from 8 lenders. So you go into Bear Steves, they'll say, yes, we're whole of market. They can only use 8 lenders, which is definitely not whole of market. Whereas we genuinely are whole of market. There is no one we can't use. We can use and recommend Post Office, HSBC. There isn't anyone that we can't use. Right, now we come to the decent subjects. Buy-to-let, the art of leverage. If you haven't given it already, I love buy-to-let. I hate, well, I just don't like investments and pensions. To me, with investments and pensions, you're giving someone else your money and they're telling you how much you can have back and when you can have it back. You're totally out of control. So for me, I don't like it. Buy-to-let properties, I choose the property, I choose the tenant, I choose how much I charge. I'm completely in control. I then choose when I sell it, how much I sell it for. There's no issues buy-to-let. I'm in control. If it fails, it's fails because of me, not because some fund manager's not doing his job. But why are buy-to-lets so good? It's because they give you leverage. And really, my tendency today is to try and show you what the leverage is. Basically, staying close enough. If you invest, if you had £50,000 to invest and you put in ordinary stocks and shares, you invest your £50,000, you'll be very, very lucky to get 6%, which is going to pay you £3,000 a year. So, given that scenario, what if the bank said to you, for every pound you invest, we'll give you another £3 to invest? If they also said then, whatever you invest, out of that, you can keep 100% of the profit. And then also, if they added to that, you also, we don't want our money back, we just want you to pay interest on it. So it's not repayment, you just pay us interest only. If that sounds too good to be true, that's buy-to-let. Basically, for every pound you put down, the bank will give you another £3. So, on the same example, you invest £50,000, the mortgage company give you another £150,000, and they'll just charge you the interest on that £150,000. They're not asking you to repay it, they're just saying, give us the interest on it. So, you can purchase a property for £200,000 with your £50,000, and as Bradley will tell you, a £200,000 property is going to rent all day long for £1,000 a month. The bank are going to turn around and say to you, yeah, for the £150,000 we put in, give us 500 quid. They don't ask for the, you know, you're making £500 a month profit now. They're not asking for 75% of that profit, although they've gave you 75% of the investment. You've still only put your 25% down, or your £50,000 down. they let you keep the lot. So that means on a £50,000 investment that you're putting, bear in mind the other 3/4 put in by the bank, you're making £6,000 a year, as opposed to the stocks and shares route where you're making 3,000. That is leverage. You've put £50,000 down, but you've got £200,000 to invest. Whereas stocks and shares, you put £50,000 down, you've got £50,000 to invest. So you've also got equity growth. Rightmove predicted that this year houses will grow at 2%. They've had to reschedule that, and they've said 4% because we've already exceeded it. So they've said house prices grow this year 4%. Their target for next year is, their assessment is 8% growth next year. So working on that, if you've bought your £200,000 house you put £50,000 into, in 10 years, if it only grew at 5% a year, and bear in mind since the Second World War they've doubled every 7 to 10 years, so if we were only working at 5% a year, in 10 years' time that £200,000 house is worth £310,000. So you've still only put your, the banker gave you 150, you've still only put your £50,000 in. That means profit on the house at 5%, over 10 years you made £110,000. On top of that, you've earned £6,000 a year profit from the rental. So in 10 years you've made £170,000, because 3/4 of the money you've been using has been given to you by the bank, whereas on the stocks and shares 100% of the money using is what you've paid. So that's the power, buy-to-lets, that's the power of leverage. For every pound you put in, the bank are willing to give you, no, not give you, but lend you another £3. So you've got £10,000, you can go and buy a £40,000 place. 25,000, you can go and buy a £100,000 place, and you get everything back from it. So, I mean, I'll just put this down. This is a very simplified example. It's just round numbers. You are liable to capital gains tax, and you will pay tax on unearned income. You've also got to insure the property. You've also got to avoid, you know, you're going to have empty periods. I mean, if you look around us, you've got Clive to give you advice on the capital gains. You've got Tony to help you with insurance. You've got Bradley to help you with the lettings. There's nothing we can't encapsulate in here and do it within our group. It's simply, you know, the power of leverage. That's why I like buy-to-lets. As I say, I was doing investments. For every pound I put in, that's all I'm going to get return on. If I'm doing buy-to-lets, for every pound I put in, I'll get return on the other £3 the bank gives me. That is why I'm passionate about buy-to-lets, and that's my 8 minutes or 10 minutes. Short and brief. Thank you.
Any questions for Paul, please, from the chair?
Would you say that interest-only mortgage would be like a short-term thing because you're not going to pay it off?
I would say only ever do an interest-only mortgage on a buy-to-let. Do a repayment mortgage on your own residential property.
So when are you going to overpay it?
You're not. But what you're doing is you're looking to, if you're looking at rental, the growth in the property, and you're looking at the interest you're earning on. Sorry, not the interest. The profit you're making on the rent. If you're interest-only, on the example gave, interest-only mortgage is costing you £500, whereas a repayment mortgage probably costs you £900. So one way you're earning £500 a month, the other way you're only earning £100 a month. So what you're doing is, instead of paying your mortgage off on interest on a repayment, you're making the money on a monthly basis. So you get more income per month rather than trying to pay a mortgage off to own the property. You don't ever really want to own a buy-to-let property because you pay tax on all the income over and above your mortgage. So it's better to always have an interest-only mortgage and just keep it running on a buy-to-let. You've always got, you can take your interest-only mortgage up to age 90.
Oh really?
Yeah. Yeah, there's companies that do mortgages up to age 90, so you keep your, when you retire, you keep the property and there's your income. If you're making £500 a month on that one, simple maths, if you have 10 properties, that's £5,000 a month you're making, you can retire tomorrow. So it's all about building that passive income. The more properties you got, the more income you're making.
How many buy-to-let mortgages can I have?
As many as you want.
No restriction?
No. A lot of companies will restrict it after 10, but once you're up to 10 properties, you'll then go with commercial route, so there's no limit.
You mentioned the sort of cost of a buy-to-let mortgage, and you said it's interest only rather than capital repayment.
Yeah.
And your example said £150,000 and the payments would be 500.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that based on? Because is it based on a fixed amount above base rate? Is it fixed for the period of the mortgage? Because if the base rate goes up and you're on some form of tracker, I don't understand what you would use for your finance instrument. Obviously, it could be an awful lot more than £500. In fact, if interest rates went up by a worst case scenario like they were 10 years to 13% rather than 3% over base.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Your profit margin's gone. So
that was based on. That weren't based on the best. That was based on an average fixed rate product.
My basic question is, what instrument do they use? It's obviously a interest only mortgage, but what formula is it? Like fixed interest for X number of years, or is it a tracker mortgage?
No, it's fixed. That one was based on fixed for 2 years. You then review the deal 2 years time, same as you would a residential. If house prices go up like they did, and well, it's predicted it won't, but if inflation went up like it did when it hit 18% on your mortgage rates, if you look at that time, everyone was giving their keys back, giving up their houses. Where was they living? They was having to go into rental properties.
Yeah.
If the demand's that great, you put it up.
But to mitigate rises in interest, could you fix it for a longer period of time?
Yeah, you can fix up to 10 years. So yeah, it's just the longer you fix, the higher the rate, but you choose the risk level. So you can take a just over 3% rate today if you want a 2-year fixed. You're paying 4.5–5% if you want to go 10 years.
Understood.
Basically.
I've heard it said that it's a good time for buy-to-let now. So when's a bad time for buy-to-let?
Whenever you speak to someone about buy-to-lets, they always say, I wish I got in 2 years ago. Whenever you come up against it, everyone says, I wish I'd done it 2 years ago. And that seems to be an excuse why they're not doing it today. I had someone looking at properties in Stanley Hope in January, and they phoned up and said, I can't believe how much the house is going up. They could have bought 150,000 for a 3-bed terrace. Now they're having to pay. They're just buying one at 170,000. And they said they've looked over the history at Rightmove for the last year, and on average, you're going to buy £15,000. So, you know, and that's before DP work and everything else kicks in. The biggest factors on price or growth on houses is jobs. And as I've said it before, and Bradley will back me on this, you've got the Saxon industrial estate going in at Rochford. They reckon 6,000 skilled and semi-skilled. You've got DP World. Well, the averages go from 30,000 to 40,000 people. Behind that, you've got Marks and Spencers that are saying 700 jobs. You've got Tesco's with energy 6,000 jobs. Lakeside 25% expansion, 1,000 jobs. This corridor, there's so much work going in. You don't see. I mean, there's 50,000 jobs between Southend and Lakeside coming on board. You don't see them building 50,000 houses. You know, everyone around here is pretty well employed. We've got the, you know, straight to London. It's a good commuter belt, and there's all these jobs coming. You know, last time this happened was when Ashford got the Eurotunnel link, and Ashford outstripped the rest of Kent on house price growth, and we're sitting slap bang in the middle of this big development area. So I don't think there's a wrong time to go for it. I think, you know, it's just the growth is there at the moment. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. We're happy with that. Thank you very much. Well done. Good stuff.